Welcome to Manchester United Matters channel. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? Bad result again for Manchester United. Frank Lampard registers his first win in 6 games in there. He had lost his last 6 games in there for you, and he was sliding slowly into the relegation battle in there because a team which goes when Burnley is behind him by just 2 points in there for you. And if at all they had lost this game, they would have been a game ahead of them. But it's very much disgracing for United to lose to a side that has not won in its last 6 games. It's very disgracing. It's very disgusting, by the way, because Everton is a team that last won. When they last win a game, they last won a game in the FA Cup 5th round. Then they were beaten by Tottenham by 5-0. They are beaten by Wolves. They are beaten by, they beat Newcastle. So they were beaten by Crystal Palace. They were beaten by West Ham. They were beaten by Burnley. In their last 6 games, they had only won 1 and lost 5. And United couldn't go and produce a better result in there for you. It shows you how these players have dropped tools. No, even if United has many injuries, that cannot be given as a yardstick to go in and say, United has injuries, and but look at the players that were on the pitch. One-on-one, United players are far much better than those of Everton. But they don't display what we call a good play of football in there. Look at the first half. Before Everton came on to score a goal, United was all over Everton, and United couldn't use that chance to get themselves ahead. And after a pass that was played to Fred Rodriguez played it to Nemanja Matic when he was like in 2 players, loses possession. Fall finds Richarlison plays it to Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin lays it to find Gordon. Gordon hits it, deflects off Harry Maguire, and it goes into the back of the net. Ever since then, Everton was not a threat. It shows you that United didn't come today, and for this entire season, United have not come. They've not come. And this is something that puts lots of question marks onto these players. And if at all, Erik ten Hag, who is going to be the next United manager, was seated somewhere in Netherlands watching this game of football, he is now so much worried and he knows where to start, because when you look at all the players that played to that Manchester United, none of the players came onto the pitch of play. None. Not De Gea. De Gea did a simple save in there. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Telles trying to bring in crosses there for you. Harry Maguire, Lindelof, no one showed off. Nemanja Matic, Freddy, Paul Ebide Pogba, Sancho, Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford. No one came onto this field of play to show to it that he really wants to play a game of football for Manchester United. Because in a game like this, when you know that when you win, you're going to be level with Arsenal in there, why don't you go ahead and do the needful and get these 3 points in there for you? You failed to get 3 points against Leicester. You do the same against the side which goes by the names of Everton, because for Everton it's worse because not even a single point has been gotten. We've been beaten thoroughly in there. That's why I tell people that it's better, instead of drawing and losing, it's better you win 1 game and you lose the next game, because that means you've lost 3 points. But if at all you lose and you're beaten, if at all you draw and you get beaten, that means you've lost 5 points in 2 games. So that is something that United has failed to come out and exhibit onto this game of today. Because I really believe that when you look at Everton, they came to park the bus and to play us on the break. When they got that goal, we just made their job easy. In there. And what they did was to sit back and wait for United. And which United do you wait for? A United that does not create chances. From the word go, it's hard for United to make in chances because they don't have a specified style of play in there. Ralf Rangnick came in with his style of play, tried to feed it into these players. These players couldn't handle the press. And trust me, in modern football, there is no way you can't do without a press. And United have gone ahead to lose another game of football into this season that is so annoying in there for you. And if at all you are there and you've been always thinking that United still has chances to go in the Champions League, no way. The only fight United is into is to go in the UEFA Europa League, not to go into the Conference League. Because if United finish 7th, they're going to the Conference League. You know that? So it shows you that United has to play a lot to see to it that they don't go that side, because it's so much annoying for Manchester United. It's something that we should come in here and totally put it to the players in there, because which player on the field of play put up a performance in there? No one. No one put up a performance in there. No one. And I ideally don't want to even talk about Ralf Rangnick, because he chooses these players, he tells them what to do, and they don't do it. And what shows you that these players are rebelling to this manager is that a midfield of Alan, Iwobi, who else was in the midfield of Everton? Let me check. Alan, Iwobi, very weak midfield. It was a weak midfield. It was a weak midfield. And Fabian Delph. We couldn't dominate a game of play in this midfield. Even when we dominated, we couldn't pass through the central axis. We do so much of sideway passing, and the best way to come in and break down a team is to use that central axis in there. United doesn't use the central axis, and I was doing a watch along, and I told people who are watching it that the problem we are having as United, we are having the majority of the ball, we are having the majority of the possession, but we are not using the central axis in there for you. We are doing so much side passing, something that does not favor us. You get? We need to pass through the central axis, because it's very easy to break a team down when you're passing through the central axis in there, because that pass, if at all you find it behind the defenders, it's very hard for them to recover. But if at all you are using sideway passing in there, that means you're only going to rely on crosses. Crosses are hard to score, because you'll have very many players onto the box, and they will defend it very well and block it. You get? So United players have dropped tools. It looks like most of them want to leave, and I really believe that's a very good idea. If at all you can kick out like 8, because the very big budget that I've been told about they're going to give Eric Ten Hag is about £200 million. You get out Harry Maguire, get out Nemanja Matic, get out Paul Lebile Pogba, get out Lingard, get out like 8 players and get in other players who are going to come in and play for this shot. Because I really think most of these players are fed up, but they cannot really come out and say, because they know they are getting huge salaries and no team can come in and play and pay them those salaries in there, and that makes them comfortable. At a point X, I really started to realize that, oh my God, I think Antoine Martial would have done a better job into this team, because we need ball players. In situations like this, you need a player who is going to get that ball when his football knowledge and technicality is far much way better than most of the players we have at Manchester United. And I really believe that Antoine Martial would have done a job today. He would have done a very big job today. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I really believe that Antoine Martial would have done a very big job today in there. But I have something from Samuel Lucas. I surely don't have something to talk about either, because we've talked everything about these late players game in, game out. This is how they bottle games. This is how we lose on often, and this is what they do on a daily. The game of Leicester City, that's what they did. The game of Everton, they've done the same thing. We are playing Norwich at Old Trafford, and you don't know whether they will win. So we just have to watch and see how this entire season elapses, and wait for the big news of Eric Ten Hag to be announced, because that's the only positive we are going to be having until the end of the season. Because right now, expect no positive from these Manchester United players. They are not fit to be here. They aren't fit to be here and play for Manchester United, because where it matters most, they don't appear. We've seen it every time and again. Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we were into a semi-finale of the UEFA Europa League. We were bottled, we were beaten by Sevilla, because these players don't appear where it matters most. In the finale we played in the UEFA Europa League against Villarreal, these players again let down tools. You get? Their mindset is not in the right order. That's why when Ralf Rangnick came in here, the first person he brought on, before even he brought in his assistant coaches that is having in right now, the first person he brought in was a psychologist, because he knew that the brains of these players were troubled, and there is nothing that happens in physicality that you see before a brain is right. Unless a brain gets a right thought, that's when it will come in and do the needful. If it doesn't get a right thought, it won't come in and do the needful. That's why these players need a thorough panel beating. And that will come in from a good manager, because they cannot perform under a Rangnick because they know, oh, I cannot give out my all because he's not the permanent manager. After all, he's interim. He has no decision making going to make on me. You get? And this is how United let the season off. And all of this, when you really surround it off, you take it back to the board of Manchester United. How do you let our season off like this? In November, we had a chance to really save our season and really collect some good points. After being bottled by Liverpool 5-0, you had to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Even if that was not enough, we got beaten by Man City and they didn't sack the manager. After getting beaten by City, United goes ahead to win against Tottenham Hotspur. They drew away at Atalanta. We come back until we are beaten by Watford, and that's when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked. But I will believe that if at all we had gotten a permanent manager by then, because Antonio Conte was a variable, and you see what the job Conte is doing at Spurs, and United has better players than Spurs, meaning that if at all they brought in Conte, we would be into even a title race, because I will believe the season was still young and we could make a very big turnaround. But United both turned heel. After turning heel, they let Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be in for those games, and then they said, all right, we are sacrificing our season, let us bring in our interim. The way players play under an interim manager is not how they play under a permanent manager, because a permanent manager has decisions to make, but an interim has no decisions to make on those players. You get? So that is something that let United down. Everything that's happening right now, take it back to the board. That's why the board right now has nothing to do. They have to bring in Erik ten Hag, because he's the man that is going to put United where it's supposed to be. And Erik ten Hag has put up hard conditions in there to come in at Manchester United. And those are conditions that are really going to help United prosper. And for the very first time, United is going in looking for manager when they are the ones who are desperate. You get? All of those times, it has been the managers who have been desperate. You get? Now, United is desperate to get a manager who is willing to go anyway, though his priority is to come at Manchester United, but he is willing to go anywhere else. That's Erik ten Hag in there for you. So I really believe that Manchester United needs to go ahead and do the needful into this game of football, and they shouldn't mess on with the next manager, because the only happiness we have right now is when only Erik ten Hag is announced as the next permanent manager of Manchester United, and they are playing today game of football. And news coming in from Amsterdam indicates that Ajax have told English journalists not to come into the post-match conference after that game that Ajax is going to play. And that shows you how far this deal has reached, because Erik ten Hag might be asked a question and will go in and give you an answer that is going to disorganize the team, because today they are playing into the league and they are 4 points ahead, and they are into the cup finale that they're playing next weekend in there. And so I will believe that that's the only positive we are left to discuss about. But these players are all shit. Today, none of those players appeared onto that game of football. None of the United players came to play. That's what I'm telling you. They dropped tools. Everton has schooled us. Although we had the majority of the possession, but we cannot break down teams. We cannot break down teams. It shows you that our creativity rate is low. You get? And I wonder how we've turned off from a side that has created very many chances since Ralf Rangnick came in through, to a side that doesn't create chances. Because when you look at the stats of the game, you are going to get surprised. United had 4 shots on target. Everton had 3. United had 12 shots and 7. Everton had 7. 68% ball possession by United, 32% ball possession by Everton. What a day that United has been synced. A game that was supposed to be a must-win, and we've dropped off immediately in there for you. Feel free to go into the comment section and tell me what you think about this loss of Manchester United in there. I go by the names of Rokan David, aka RD. I'm out for now. See you later.